What is up? This is Jack McNeil, or MLB Talk 123 here. Hope you guys are enjoying this special postseason coverage, truly only once a year. Now, this October has been extremely crazy. I can make the argument the best and most entertaining, most exciting postseason of all time so far. We'll see how it goes from now as we have great matchups moving forward. But the Nationals, after a dramatic Game 4 victory, came into Game 5 with their best pitcher, 21-game winner, Gio Gonzalez, who struggled in the first game of the series, keep in mind. But the Cardinals know better than anyone. After a huge victory like Game 6 of the World Series last year, you have to settle down. You have to think of it, this is a new game. You can't think of last night. And that's the big thing for the Nationals. And it really didn't look like they missed a step. They came out swinging. And not only that, but Adam Wainwright had the worst performance of his career on the biggest stage in the biggest game of his career. Now think about this. Adam Wainwright, he's been waiting 3 years for this start. In 2009, he had one of the best postseasons pitching that I've ever seen. He was absolutely dominant. And the bullpen blew it for him at the time. And we were swept by the Dodgers in 2009. Now in 2010, we had a terrible August, and we ended up not winning, and that was the Reds' year. Now in 2011, he was hurt with Tommy John surgery and missed the whole year. So he couldn't even participate or help the team out in the World Series. He had to cope and justify with helping, cheering on the team, and dealing with it that way. And he does feel like he made a difference, but he just really wasn't as much a part of that team. Obviously, the Cardinals still won the World Series. So he's been waiting so long for the start. He goes out of the gate, and he just gets crushed. The fastball just was not working. Not an effective pitch at all. He allowed 6 runs within the first 2 1/3 innings, 7 hits, 5 strikeouts. The only pitch I was working again was the curveball. It was like the beginning of the year when he said he was a disgrace to baseball because, he's leaving the fastballs up. Anyone was hitting him. It was not good. So, yes, the curveball was working. Fastball left up too many times. You saw Ryan Zimmerman hit a home run. Bryce Harper hit a huge home run, second deck. And you see also Michael Morse hit a home run. There was doubles, triples, home runs, 6 runs in the 3rd inning. You're looking at this game. And as a Cardinal fan, I've seen them come back from huge losses, big deficits, but I realistically didn't know if this was possible. I mean, 6-0 in Game 5, I was prepared for the season to be over. But I did know this, the Cardinals are relentless. They have resilience, and they have a very good lineup. So I kept telling myself, we just got to chip away. We got to chip away. And that's really the game story, is just chipping away. When it ended up overcoming that, though, was in the last inning. The rally the Cardinals mounted, I've never seen anything like it. The reason why I say that is because last postseason, I actually didn't even get to see Game 6 on TV. I had to listen to David Freese' walk-off home run on the radio, but I missed the famous, infamous triple that tied the game. And I'll never forget missing that. I mean, it was ridiculous that I didn't even get to watch that. So to see this kind of in a way makes up for it. Obviously not as big of a stage as this, and I can't even imagine how crazy I would have gone if I actually saw it live on TV. But this was the biggest comeback I've seen by the Cardinals, and the best comeback I've ever seen by the Cardinals. The NLDS, you have Game 5. This whole game, you're down 6-0. You're chipping away. And then in the bottom of the 8th inning, just devastating, that Jason Mott gave up a run. I thought it was over then. I thought, we can do this if it's 1 run. We have the best part of our lineup. We have Beltran, we have Holiday, we have Craig, we have Molina and Freese coming up. We can score a run, especially the way that we are hitting. But can we score 2 runs? That's the question. The Nationals did not get it done. They did not execute the rest of the game, mainly because they had 8 walks. I mean, Gio Gonzalez, remember, he walked a run in. I mean, he had like 4 walks throughout the game. There was a wild pitch, there was a walk. He did not really have that great of a start. He also didn't have a great start in Game 1. He was kind of wild, didn't have much control, and couldn't really control his emotions. It does show his youth and inexperience in the playoffs. But, I did feel bad for Gio Gonzalez a little bit. He's very competitive, obviously, winning a lot this year. And you do have to feel bad for the Nationals. I mean, to see a lead of 6-0, starting to shrink, and all of a sudden it's 6-5 after Descalzo's home run. That was a huge hit for the Cardinals there. He hit a home run. He also hit a double in the game, and then he has the biggest hit of his life and of the year for the Cardinals to tie the game later on. But the Nationals get an insurance run by Kurt Suzuki, and I'm sitting there yelling. I'm like, oh my God. I've seen Kurt Suzuki kill the Cardinals so many times on these little blooping singles. I was just getting so pissed off. I was like, come on, Mott, you got to be kidding me. Like, we were 1 run away, and you let him score an insurance run. But you have to look at the positives here. The bullpen for the Cardinals was absolutely magnificent. Trevor Rosenthal, Joe Kelly, Edward Mojica, Mitchell Boggs, and then Jason Mott. They all did a very good job. Mott struggled in the first inning, but he got it done in the inning that really mattered after the Cardinals rally. So the Cardinals going into the 9th inning, They're 3 outs away from their season being done, and I was slowly becoming prepared for that, but I was just so nervous. My eyes are glued, my eyes are big. I'm just hoping for something magical. Drew Storen is a great closer. He was hurt for most of the season. He came in July. He had a few, he's had a good postseason overall. But to come into this game, he's been worked a lot. And he said, if I have to pitch this game, I'm going to somehow find it. Because he's had to pitch multiple games in a row. They have overworked him in the postseason. But, he is their closer. He is their guy to go to. So there's no reason not to use him in this situation. You just got to put your best guy out there and see if he can get the job done. It would have been huge for Washington as a city and as a franchise. They had 2 100-loss seasons a few years ago. They got 2 top draft picks. They developed this organization. Mike Rizzo has done a great job. The decision to not, to shut down Steven Strasburg will kind of overpower any of the other things to talk about the Nationals this year, because it's a big controversial. I mean, it's a big controversy. Whether they would have won the series with Strasburg or not, we don't know. He might have pitched 2 innings and given up 8 runs. I mean, we've never seen him do that, but you never know. And you got to feel bad with this, for this team after this terrible loss. Davey Johnson, they've really done a great job this year in Washington. Management, developing young players, and getting some veteran free agents too on the way. They had a great pinch hitting staff with Chad Tracy and Tyler Moore killed us in Game 1, and they played a very good series. The Cardinals killed them in high scoring games, but they lost every close game, and this was something that you just wouldn't expect them to come back. Versus Drew Storen, Beltran got it started with a double. Then you had 2 outs because Alan Craig struck out, and Matt Holliday had somewhat of a productive hit. He got him to third, which is productive, but you're hoping for a single or double to keep it going for Holliday, who did struggle even though he got 2 RBIs. And then you're looking at 2 outs, and you have David Freese and you have Yadier Molina, and that Alan Craig at bat just absolutely killed me. Seeing that is the second out with my favorite hitter on the Cardinals, who had a fantastic year, great hitter, came up big in the World Series last year, to strike out. I mean, the last 2 at bats were huge, especially with men on base. The next batter, David Freese. He's down 2-2 count. He's 1 strike away. He works a count on 2 extremely close pitches. Yadier Molina works a fantastic at-bat with even more very close pitches. Those were the key at-bats there, to walk it and load the bases. Now, Drew Storen, who's absolutely devastated, cried a little bit. Obviously all the players, they feel terrible. They're giving him hugs. They're mad, but they also, are extremely devastated at the time. That they're trying to make him feel better. He said, "I made good pitches. I wouldn't change a thing. I have no regrets." He also said, "I just let these guys down." He's going to be mourning this for a while. With all the Nationals, they had a lot of momentum. They've been ahead this whole game, and they had to deal with this. I can't even imagine how it would feel. Just absolutely amazing. Descalso not only hit a home run in the 8th inning off Tyler Clippard, who's another Nats reliever who did not execute fully, but he did overall a good job. And those runs didn't seem that big at the time. When you look at the score, you're like, Edwin Jackson gave up a run, Tyler Clippard gave up a run. It could have been a lot worse in those situations because, especially for Edwin Jackson, he did get out of a jam. But again, the Cardinals scored. The Cardinals had relievers that, didn't let them score. The Nationals, they scored. I mean, yes, the Cardinals had a lot of chances they blew, but at the same time, they did score some runs, and mostly walks hurt them. Walks just killed the Nationals this game. You can't walk people. I mean, you can't walk 8 batters and expect that there's not going to be, consequences for that. But anyways, get back to the 9th inning. You have Molina work a great at bat. You have bases loaded, still 2 outs, and Descalso hits a single off Ian Desmond's glove. I was going crazy. The game is tied. Absolutely insane, really. To see them down 6-0 and come back, the biggest comeback in history of Major League Baseball for an elimination game in the playoffs. And you look at you can call them the comeback Cardinals, the clutch Cardinals. I don't know how they do it. I thought they used up all their magic from last year when they were down 6-0 and they were down 7-5. But remember last year, you remember when Josh Hamilton had that 2-run shot that you thought it was over? They came back again. I mean, they really do never quit. It's a mix of veteran with young players, with players that you don't expect who just get it done. Look at all of the wins that they've got. The last 6 wins in Game 5s or, wild card game, World Series Game 7, NLDS Game 5, in 06 the NLCS Game 7, in 04 the NLCS Game 7. They won all of these games. They've won 6 elimination games now in a row. I don't know what to call it. We are witnessing history. Just absolutely insane. The comeback Cardinals, I guess they didn't use up all their magic. They came through big tonight, and Pete Kozma capped it off with a 2-run double to win the game. Now, Pete Kozma, just a little backstory on him. He spent years in the minors. This guy was drafted in the first round. A lot of people have been just extremely upset with how he's done. You know, they thought it was a waste of a first-round pick. You know, there's so much criticism on him because he's one of those guys that they drafted. They need shortstops, and he just hasn't gotten done. And the fact is that he really has always struggled offensively, especially in the minors. This year, he had like 230. They brought him up for defense because Furcal was hurt. And look what he has done here. The last like 2 weeks, he had a few home runs, had like above 300. The playoffs started terribly. I thought he would have a good, great playoffs. He'd break out kind of like David Freese did last year, not to that extent. I just didn't think that he had the power that David Freese has, and he doesn't. But I did think he was going to, become a name here in St. Louis, obviously going to get some playoff starts. He started every game. He's made a few errors. The infield fly, pop-up was obviously infamous. He also made another error later, actually in this series, that did cost him potentially a win. He struck out many times in the series, but when it comes down to it, he's come up with huge hits. A 3-run home run in Game 3, and then you have this, the biggest hit of his career, and he was so casual about it. He reminds me of Ryan Lochte. He looks like him, and he talks like him. He doesn't seem like maybe the smartest guy in the world, the way he interviews, and, I've seen a few interviews of him, and he's very calm and collected. I think that really helped him in that bat to be that calm in that situation because he really didn't react much after the hit. That shocked the world. And the Cardinals fans, I mean, they're going to be going absolutely crazy after that. I was so shocked for about 20 minutes just looking at this year in general and looking what they went through and then looking at that. It's just so unrealistic that they score 4 runs, come back from 6-0 and win. It just doesn't happen in baseball. So all the guys were saying after the game, this just doesn't happen. But the players said we just never give up. We have great leadership on this team, and if you look at it, they do. Descalzo was a new hero along with Kozma. It was an unbelievable game and a disappointing end to a great, and I mean fantastic national season. I was rooting for the Nationals this whole year. Obviously, when you get in the playoffs, you're not going to be rooting for them if you're a big Cardinal fan. But, I did feel extremely bad for them. I feel bad for Drew Storen, all the players had to deal with this. Jason Worth, they were so excited early in the game and then to deal with this heartbreak loss. But I will say this, they will learn from this. They are going to go all the way next year. I can almost assure you, unless the Cardinals get in the playoffs again, honestly, the Nationals could still beat them because the Nationals have a fantastic team going forward. They have a lot of young players that are developing, getting better and better. They'll have Strasburg for the whole year next year, hopefully no injuries. And, that decision might haunt them because they really did have a chance to go to the World Series this year, and I think a lot of fans will be very mad about that. But right now, it's just really disappointing for them finishing this year, a great year, finishing it this bad, the worst record or the best record in baseball. Now the Cardinals have beat the best record in baseball teams 2 years in a row, the Phillies and the Nationals both going to Game 5s. Now we face the Giants in the NLCS. Now the NLCS of a lifetime is set. It would have been very fun to see the Nationals versus Giants, but it wouldn't have been very fun for me as a Cardinal fan. But now the Cardinals have done something that's never done before, winning from being down 6-0 elimination game in the playoffs, making history, and the Giants were down 2-0. Remember that. So they also made history. The Giants have great pitching. The first game is set to be Lance Lynn versus Madison Bumgarner. This is going to be a very interesting series. I think it will go to 6 or 7 games, at least starting off in San Francisco, then going to St. Louis. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and enjoy the rest of the postseason.